How do you maintain your passion in video games? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. It just is. I have no idea how to answer that. How do I maintain? I mean, isn't passion something that comes naturally to you? You can be passionate about certain things in life, right? And it's not like you maintain it. I guess the answer will be by continuing playing video games, continuing to make YouTube videos, these Q&As, these hangouts that I do every Sunday with you guys, playing with friends. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to answer that couch potato. Just put on your original Old Spice and you're solid. If you had kids, will you talk to them the same way you speak on YouTube? No. Maybe if they were like 12 or 13, I don't know. But I mean, I'm not gonna say no to a kid. I don't know, man. No. You mean because of the swearing and the attitude and... Oh, I wouldn't do that to my kids. You did have a video on RPG Burnout. I did that video because not because I was burned out, but because I saw back then a lot of people, especially in these Q&As, that were starting to get some RPG burnout, and I thought it would be a good idea to offer some advice on how not to get it, on what to do if you get it. I've never gotten any RPG burnout, but I've gotten to points where I'm like, okay, right now, I want to play something else. I don't want to play an RPG right now, but it usually only lasts for a few days. A few days later, maybe 1 week later, I'm back playing another freaking RPG, man. That's just who I am. That video wasn't for me, or speaking from like a big experience, That was like my advice on how to avoid it. You made your passion your purpose in a way with your channel. Yeah, I guess I did. Yeah, this is what I do for a living, and this is what I do, It is my passion, video games. Music is my second biggest passion of all time. It will never stop being my second biggest passion. For a long time of my life, it was my biggest passion, but I never got anywhere. I don't know if I could make one of these days a YouTube channel dedicated to music, because there's just a shit ton of copyright claims and copyright bullshit in there. You can't use anything like you can in video games. You can use video game channels, gaming channels. We can use gameplay footage, we can use music, and we still get paid. We get monetized. But music, you use, 20 seconds of a song by Deftones, you get a copyright claim, no money. You used some footage of a concert, 20 seconds, no money. Ah, man. And I follow a couple of music channels like Rick Beato. He's a pretty famous YouTuber. And he's always had problems with that. A lot of his videos aren't even monetized because he plays songs in them to provide examples for his teaching or to praise them or recommend them, and copyright claim, baby. So yeah, I wish I could make some kind of like music YouTube channel, but I just don't want to deal with that. I have enough on my plate with this YouTube channel and the guidelines and shenanigans and the demonetization, the age restrictions and whatnot. So I don't think I could survive by having a music YouTube channel and cover bands and stuff like that. So no. Favorite Deftones album? That will be Around the Fur. Definitely my favorite. As a writer, did you ever meet a fan of your books that got upset what you did to a character? Oh yeah, it's pretty rare. Usually, most of the fans that I met in person when I used to have tables. I used to have a table on conventions and shit, and I don't go to shows anymore. I haven't gone to a convention or show in a long time because they got too expensive. They charge us stupid amounts of money, and the ones that they don't charge us that much to have an artist table, but they're so far away from here. Like the Uber, it's gonna cost me a lot of money. I don't have a car, so imagine, just not worth it. Stop being worth it It stopped being worth it for me to go to shows. But when I used to go to shows, I did meet a lot of fans, and but it's rare. Usually, most of them are kind of like respectful, and they're like, I love your books, I love your story, and that's it. I've gotten some criticism in my face before, and I appreciate that. And yes, I've gotten I remember a couple of people that were like, how could you do this, man? Why did you do that? And that was like pretty funny. I mean, there's something that happens in the Revenant Army. Link to that book in the description, by the way. I do remember meeting a couple of people that were kind of upset because of something that happens in there. That's all I'm gonna say. Neo Hedge, thanks a bunch, man. He says, I hate the mentality that just because a retro game is an RPG, game stores get to jack up the price for it. Yeah, they do that a lot. They don't do that with all of our RPGs. I've seen some retro stores, not in person anymore, but in videos, or people have told me that. There's still some retro RPGs to be found for dirt cheap. Lots of PS2 games, for example. Random examples that immediately come to my mind. Phantasy Star Universe, the first one, that's dirt cheap. Ark the Lab 4, Twilight of the Spirits. I mean, if you find a store selling that game for like $30 or $40, don't buy it. Just go somewhere else, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna find it for like $10. But yeah, a lot of stores nowadays tend to do that because RPGs have gotten so popular nowadays. They got so popular that almost every single video game of any genre nowadays needs to have RPG elements. So imagine, it just got really popular, RPGs, man. So of course people look for RPGs. But that's not the only reason. I think the other reason why that happens is because usually RPGs and survival horror games are the first ones to go up in price. And resellers know that. They've been doing that for years, man. I did the same. I noticed that, people look... Those two genres usually go up in price really fast. Shoot 'em ups too. Actually, shoot 'em ups because most of them are really stupidly obscure and nobody cares about them. But yeah, it's just because it's a genre that people like to collect or resell and make business out of. I met a lot of resellers during my reselling days that most of their merchandise was pretty much RPGs and survival horror games, and people bought them and people still pay the steep prices of them. Let's end the poll. The answer is obvious. There you go. Do you still collect retro games, PS2 era and below? No, 61%. Yes, 38%. That doesn't make any sense. Probably somebody voted right at the same time I ended the poll. So the accurate number is 62%. Well, it isn't that big. We still have a whopping 38% of viewers that still collect retro games, PS2 era and below. That's a good thing. There's still some interest, but the reality is that most people just don't. They gave up. Do you think the prices of retro games will go back down now with the retro games market crashing? Not much. I think they have already started to go down. 2 years ago, Suikoden 2 used to be like $400, and now it's $300. So I know it's still expensive as fuck, but we have started to see a decline in prices this year. But I think a lot of them won't go down that much. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh yeah, flea markets definitely, yeah, they received some kind of big update in price knowledge. Yeah, back in the day you used to go and they didn't know what they had, and nowadays everybody knows what they have. And they're even more expensive in flea markets than in retro stores. I know this is hard to quantify, but what console do you think you've spent the most time playing? That will probably be the PlayStation 2, because once I got the PS2, I got my PS2 a year after the PS1. A year after I got my PS1, and because I got the PS2, I sold the PS1 and I started playing all my PS1 games on the PS2. And I stayed with the PS2 for many years. So yeah, definitely the PlayStation 2 is the one that I spent the most hours, the most time playing in my whole life. PS4 is a close second. 3DS, probably number 3. Have you ever been to Germany or Europe? Yes, I have. I've been to Germany, but I was only there for like 3 days. I stayed in Berlin, in Johannsstift, a small village, far away from downtown, and I loved it. Beautiful village. I loved Berlin. I hope I can go back to Germany one day. And I lived in England for 5 months. And that's it. Those are the only European countries I've ever been to in my whole life. Thank you, Mark Spector. It says, do a video on your favorite RPG directors and story writers. I don't think there's going to be a lot of interest in that. But it could work, you know. It could work. You probably already know which one is going to be my number 1, though. Obviously. But yeah, it's not a bad idea for a video. Thanks. Why didn't you go to France? I don't know. I had a limited amount of money when I went to England. And I wanted to visit other countries. I want to go to Norway. I wanted to go to Ireland. I actually almost got to Ireland. But because the officer at the airport told me that it wouldn't be a good idea to go there. Because they will probably stop me. Because I was a single 30-year-old guy back then, and I was a writer, and I was moving through the airports to visit certain countries, and they thought that was suspicious. Probably because I don't know if the guy was a racist. I don't think so, you know, but he race profiled me. I don't think so, but he advised me not to go to Ireland on a plane, that I should take the bus. But I ran out of money. And that was like 2 days later I came back to Mexico, so. Whoever wrote Devil Survivor, isn't that like Kojima? Who wrote Devil Survivor? You? The guy from Grow Lancer, right? Yeah. No, my number 1 writer. I can't believe you guys don't know who is my favorite director / writer in JRPGs. I mean, someone's gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm white only in color because I have some German blood in me and Spanish blood and French blood too. But I'm Mexican. My parents are Mexicans. My grandparents are Mexicans. All were born here. I'm not exactly white in terms of race. I don't know, man. Rage quit video, what about it? Do you want another rage quit video? Nah, probably next year. I don't like doing them that often because YouTube shadow bans them because of all the swearing. If I do them like somewhat often, you know, they don't get a lot of interest. You're gonna have to wait till next year. You have to come to Greece, maybe one day. Do you watch anime? Occasionally, yes. What's your favorite culture food? Culture food? What? Mexican food? Come on, man, I live in Mexico. We got the best food in the world here. You do make game stores jack up prices for games for liking what you do. What? You do make game stores jack up prices for games for liking what you do. Like, I mean, game stores watch your content. Oh, I'm pretty sure. I don't think a lot of game stores watch my content. I have no idea. I have no way to know that, man. But yeah, I mean, I don't deny that maybe somebody saw me recommending Eternal Poison and jacked up the price because of that. Because, I don't know, people started buying copies of it based on my recommendation. I mean, that's a fact. But I don't know, man. Yes, I'm Mexican. The best in the West? Okay, we have a strong competition against Italian food, Japanese food, Chinese food, maybe. Mexican food is the best. You can't compete with that. How many hours do you usually play in one sitting? It depends on the game. If the game like is really good and addictive, probably 2 hours, maybe three, but that's my max. I used to play more when I was younger. Now I'm an adult. I get tired more easily. I have a life. I have things to do. I have a job. Being an adult sucks, huh? But yeah, 3 hours seems to be my max. Depends on the game, but it's usually 1 or 2 hours per sitting. Sometimes I do like 1 or 2 sittings a day, maybe 3, okay? And each sitting is like 1 or 2 hours maybe. But each usually just a couple of sittings a day. 1 hour and a half, 2 hours each max. I have no idea about Life of Pi, man. I care nothing for Souls-like games nowadays. I loved Code Vein, and that's as far as I needed to go. Anything else, I don't give a shit. I'm tired of Souls-like. That thing needs to die. Metroidvanias need to die too. Like, for fuck's sake, man. Stop, do something new. Those Sony-owned Shadow Hearts? I think so. Yes, I think so. In the West, the last Shadow Hearts game was localized by Exceed. So I think each Shadow Hearts game, the rights for each is different. Different companies have the rights for each game. So in the West, not in Japan, I'm pretty sure Exceed owns the rights to Shadow Hearts from the New World. Shadow Hearts Covenant, whoever localized it, I don't think the company exists anymore. I don't know who has the rights. Are you getting a Steam Deck? Nope. No interest in the Steam Deck anymore. Will you ever write a game where the cartels are the villains? Nah. I'm only contributing to Mexico's bad reputation, developed by the US. Nowadays, people look at my country and all they see is cartels, and that's it. So I fucking hate that, man, so I will never contribute to that. What food and drink you eat playing a video game? Come on, Yum. You're gonna have to pay for that. For that answer. Yeah, I think Souls games can coexist peacefully with JRPGs, but I just don't like it when there's too many. I don't like it when there's too many of anything. No, they need to die. They need to die, there's too many. Metroidvanias too. I'm tired of them, they need to die. I guess what I fear the most is some of my favorite JRPG series going Souls-like. I don't want that to happen. There were for a time we feared that East 10 was going to be Souls-like, and I was like, no. And why? Because Souls-like is a thing nowadays. That's why I say it needs to die. Or it needs to lay low. We need to start getting more different types of games. Because I fear some of my favorite developers will try a Souls-like, and I'm not gonna play it. Do you play other genres? Yes, I do, of course. A lot of them. What JRPGs have you 100%ed? I get that question every stream for no reason. Chrono Cross, Valkyrie Profile 2, Silmeria, Grow Lancer, Heritage of War, which are my 3 favorite games of all time. I think that's it. Maybe Suikoden 5, maybe Suikoden 2, maybe Devil Survivor, Super Mario RPG, I think so.